The movie begins by transporting us to a small, rural Asian village, characterized by its close-knit community where every resident is familiar with each other. However, lurking beneath this nice exterior is the menacing presence of a local gang, led by the notorious Chang. The gang's dominance over the village streets is immediately established in the opening scene, which captures a harrowing moment, a couple desperately attempting to flee from the gang's clutches. In a frantic bid for freedom, they devise a plan to escape into the dense forest, hoping to find refuge amidst its cover. But their efforts prove worthless as the gang swiftly overtakes them, subjecting them to the brutalities typical of their reign of terror. The narrative then shifts its focus to Yad and Bua, a couple deeply in love, whose lives are woven into the fabric of this village. Their cute existence is shattered when they unknowingly attract the attention of the gang. A seemingly trivial act of violence, a gang member hurling a stone that strikes Bua, escalates tensions. Yad, ever the devoted partner, rushes to Bua's aid, bringing her to safety in their home. Bua, portrayed as somewhat naive and prone to conflict, especially with her mother, becomes a point of contention within her family. Her mother, concerned for her well-being, even goes as far as to suggest that Yad would be better off without Bua, believing he deserves a life free from such burdens. But Yad's love for Bua is unwavering. He remains steadfastly committed to her, undeterred by her challenges or her mother's disapproval. The couple's days are filled with simple yet profound moments of togetherness, from fishing in the beautiful waters to sharing meals, each day a testament to their enduring love and resilience in the face of adversity. This peaceful routine stands in stark contrast to the underlying threats posed by the gang's presence, setting the stage for the unfolding drama. The narrative continues to unfold in the small rural village, now focusing on Chang and his gang. These local troublemakers are notorious for their frequent confrontations with other villagers, disrupting the otherwise peaceful community. Chang, the gang's leader, embodies the essence of recklessness. Despite his wife's earnest attempts to steer him towards a more responsible path, Chang remains indifferent to her pleas, choosing to continue his life of turmoil and conflict. As the story progresses, Chang's gang once again crosses paths with Yad and Bua, the couple at the heart of the village's narrative. In a tense encounter, Chang approaches Bua, prompting an immediate response from Yad, who steps in to protect her. This intervention escalates into a confrontation, only to be diffused by the timely arrival of Chang's wife. Her intervention prevents further violence, highlighting the complex dynamics within the gang and the influence of Chang's wife. Meanwhile, Yad faces a critical decision. His father, concerned for his future, urges him to relocate to Bangkok in pursuit of better job opportunities and financial security. This suggestion reflects a common dilemma in rural communities, where the prospect of urban life offers the promise of prosperity. However, Yad, deeply rooted in his village life and attached to its simplicity, rejects this proposal. He chooses instead to remain in the village, embracing a life that, while modest, is rich in meaning and connection to his community. The next day brings a new set of challenges. A minor incident spirals out of control when a young thief steals a bunch of bananas. Coincidentally, Bua, walking nearby, happens to have an identical bunch of bananas. This leads to a misunderstanding, with the seller accusing Bua of theft and attacking her. This incident symbolizes Bua's struggle within the village, as she grapples with the feeling of being misunderstood and disliked by her fellow villagers. Her inability to comprehend the hatred directed towards her adds a layer of emotional depth to the narrative, showcasing the complexities of village dynamics and social perceptions. The story intensifies as it progresses into its more dramatic scenes. Following the misunderstanding with the stolen bananas, Yad finds Bua, who is visibly upset. He consoles her with a heartfelt assurance of his unwavering support, promising to never leave her side. However, their moment of comfort is short-lived as they confront a pressing issue: their diminishing food supplies. This scarcity compels them to venture to the river, a natural resource vital to their survival in the village. While Yad busies himself setting up a net for fishing, a harrowing turn of events unfolds. Chang and his gang, seizing the opportunity, capture Bua in Yad's absence, and drag her away. Upon returning to the shore, Yad is met with an eerie silence and the alarming absence of Bua. Frantically searching for any sign of her, he stumbles upon a lost shoe, a chilling indication that Bua has encountered foul play at the hands of Chang's gang. Driven by desperation, Yad dashes into the forest, only to be overwhelmed by the gang's numbers. Outmatched and defenseless, he faces a brutal assault from the gang, who also subject Bua to physical violence. The scene ends in a tragic climax, with the implication that the couple is buried and left for dead. As night descends, the tension escalates. Bua's prolonged absence raises alarm within her family. Her mother, filled with worry, visits Yad's house in search of them, only to find it empty. The family, increasingly anxious, heads to the couple's favorite spot, hoping to find some trace of them. There, they discover their belongings, but Yad and Bua are nowhere to be seen. The gravity of the situation becomes clearer when they encounter local residents on the road. A woman recounts witnessing the gang with the couple during the day, a revelation that sends shockwaves through the family. Armed with this information, the family confronts Chang at his house, seeking answers. However, Chang, embodying the role of the antagonist, shows ignorance. His dismissive attitude and refusal to acknowledge the situation further aggravate the family's distress. He commands them to leave, heightening the sense of injustice and helplessness that pervades the movie's narrative. This scene emotionally captures the stark contrast between the village's peaceful exterior and the underlying currents of violence and turmoil. The drama continues to spiral into a complex web of conflict and moral dilemmas. After the harrowing encounter with Chang and realizing the severity of Yad and Bua's disappearance, their family is left with no other option but to seek help from the local police. However, their plea for assistance is met with skepticism. The police, bound by procedural constraints, demand concrete evidence to implicate Chang in the couple's disappearance. They even float the possibility that Yad and Bua might have voluntarily left the village, suggesting a scenario of runaway rather than foul play. This response from the authorities leaves the family in a state of frustration and helplessness as their search for justice hits a bureaucratic wall. Amidst this turmoil, Lek, one of the gang members, is depicted wandering around the village, visibly tormented by the events he has been a part of. The weight of his actions and the guilt they have instilled in him are palpable. He grapples with his conscience, desperate to find a way to amend his sins. This inner conflict marks a stark contrast to the rest of the gang, particularly in the context of their recent brutal actions. The gang soon notices Lek's unusual behavior, prompting them to question his well-being. In a moment of vulnerability, Lek confesses his feelings of guilt and expresses his willingness to surrender to the police. This revelation is a critical moment in the story, as it threatens to unravel Chang's carefully orchestrated plan. For Chang, the prospect of Lek's confession to the authorities is a direct threat to his life and the criminal empire he has built. In a subsequent twist, the narration takes us deep into the forest, where Chang and his accomplices embark on a hunting expedition. It is here that the story takes a turn towards the supernatural. The gang members, including Chang, are confronted with what appears to be the spirit of Bua. This spooky encounter sends them into a panic and they flee in terror. This scene serves as a powerful example for the haunting consequences of their actions and the inescapable grip of guilt and fear that now consumes them. The movie further delves into the psychological aftermath of the gang's actions, particularly focusing on the character Lek. On a fateful night, the narrative takes a chilling turn when Lek, stepping aside for a moment, encounters a mysterious figure covered in white. In the dim light, he does not immediately realize that he is facing the spirit of Bua. This haunting encounter marks the beginning of a series of supernatural events that start to unravel the gang members' sense of reality. After the gang disperses from their gathering, each member heads home, only to be confronted again by the unsettling apparition of Bua's spirit. Lek, in particular, finds himself plagued by vivid and terrifying visions where he is attacked by Bua. His experiences are not solitary, as Fet, another gang member, admits to witnessing similar apparitions. Lek, consumed by fear, proposes the idea of fleeing the village, believing that their lives are in imminent danger if they stay. However, Fett, more grounded in practical concerns, dismisses the idea, pointing out the unlikely prospects of finding employment in larger cities. Their conversation leads them to embark on another hunting trip, where the supernatural elements of the story intensify. Lek once again sees Bua's spirit and, in a state of panic, runs blindly into a trap, resulting in his tragic death. The narrative continues to weave a tapestry of horror and guilt, as Fett is also tormented by nightmares. One night he wakes up in distress and heads to the bathroom to find comfort, only to be confronted by Yad, who has been lying in wait. The psychological torment takes its toll on Fett, leading him to seek refuge in a local temple. There, he prays, hoping for the salvation of his soul, a clear indication of the deep remorse and fear that have taken hold of him. The plot thickens when Fett meets with Chang, suggesting that they confess their crimes. This proposal sparks a violent reaction from Chang, who strongly opposes the idea of confession and subsequently assaults Fett. The drama's climax intensifies as the supernatural elements become increasingly prominent. Chang, the gang leader who has thus far seemed immune to the guilt and fear that plagued his fellow gang members, begins to experience his own terrifying visions. One night, he is haunted by the ghostly presence of Yad and Bua, who appear menacingly with an axe. This marks a significant turning point for Chang, as the weight of his actions starts to manifest in these disturbing hallucinations. The following day, the narrative continues to weave its spooky tale as Fett, another gang member, goes fishing. While immersed in this routine activity, he is suddenly startled by an unexpected surge in the water. In a state of panic, Fett attempts to flee but is abruptly pushed underwater by an unseen force, leading to his untimely death. This incident adds another layer of horror and mystery to the story, as the supernatural forces at play become more aggressive and lethal. Back at Chang's home, his father, aware of the creepy events unfolding, strongly advises Chang to confess his crimes. He warns Chang that if he remains silent, the spirits will come for him next. Despite this warning and the growing fear within him, Chang is torn. His fear of imprisonment outweighs his fear of the supernatural, leading him to remain mute about his misdeeds. As night falls, Chang experiences another unsettling episode. He is awakened by a strange noise, but his wife, unaware of these sounds, offers no confirmation of his fears. When Chang tries to turn on the light, it mysteriously fails to work. Resorting to a candle, he finds even this small source of light flickering out, plunging him into darkness. It is then that Bua's spirit emerges, causing Chang to react in a frenzied panic. He grabs a knife and lashes out blindly, only to realize in a horrifying twist that he has unknowingly attacked his wife. Before he can process this tragic mistake, he is attacked from behind. When Chang regains consciousness, he finds himself in a shocking situation, bound and helpless. Standing before him are Yad and Bua, very much alive. The story reveals a startling twist. After the gang's attack, the couple, presumed dead and buried, miraculously survived. A fortuitous rain helped them to dig themselves out of their burial sites. In the days that followed, while concealed in the forest and recovering from their wounds, Yad and Bua meticulously planned their revenge against the gang. The movie concludes with the revelation that their elaborate scheme of retribution was successfully executed, bringing the narrative to a dramatic and satisfying close. Did this story spook you out? Let us know in the comments below. For more horror movie recaps, subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next one. Fear awaits you.